Have you worked with Jerry?
I worked with him 3 times when I first broke into business, and Jerry's one of those guys that's kind of like a ventriloquist. And I don't hear very good, so I started calling my matches at a very young age in the business, although I was still green. So anyway, he's booking. He books 3 matches with me, Memphis, Louisville, and Evansville. We start walking around that first night. I've been in the business, brother, 3 months. We hadn't even locked up yet. I'm used to locking up with a guy, and then they start talking to me. And so Lawler's a guy, all right, kid, go ahead, lock, one tackle, drop down, hit toss. You know, and we're pacing around, and there's probably, I don't know, 500 people in the building, and I go, what? He called the spot.
I used to do that even when I heard the guy.
What? You know, basically for the guy in the front row, one tackle, drop down, hip toss. You know, I only had 3 matches with Lawler, and I was green as grass.
I remember.
You got any good Lawler stories?
Well, I just remember working with him one time, and he never really bumped. God bless him. God bless him, but he would sell down to his knees.
Yeah.
So, when I worked with him, he was working as a heel.
Yeah.
So I'm standing over and punching him because I can't toss him around. I respect him too much to be bumping him around.
Right.
So we're just doing some dark match in the TV.
Right.
So I'm just punching him, and as I'm punching him, he's slapping me on the side with his hand to get the noise.
Sound effect.
And I'm going, so that's a good way to make me quit punching you because the slaps hurt. You know,
But he would bump. Not working with Dundee, he bumped him. Working with Savage, you know, some of the big backdrop over the top rope onto the table. He took his bumps when he was working with the right guy. Right. Obviously, had some great matches with Nick Bockwinkel, who he loved to work with.
Yeah.
So he would bump when the opponent was right. Thinking about bumps, what is your take on taking a bump?
So now I finally have a match or 2, and this is when the business to me was really changing. It was becoming more about TV and more about marketing, and you had to have the look. You know, doesn't matter what a good performer you are.
Right.
It's the matchmaker's job to put the performer with the guy who might be able to sell merch.
Right.
It was changing then. So I was too big to do jobs and too green to go over.
Right.
So I never got to work. I was in Charlotte.
Dude, that is an interesting predicament.
Well, luckily, Jim Crockett owned the Charlotte Orioles, so I worked on the grounds crew there. And it was sweet, and it only rained twice a year, so, you know, pulled the tarp out twice. It was good times. It was really good times.
Then Dusty sent you guys to Charlotte and Crockett territory.
Well, I tag along with Dusty. He's taken the book there. Dory Funk left Charlotte and went to Florida to book, and Dusty came in there. Charlotte was down. Dusty brought Steamboat in. Steamboat had retired. He brought Steamboat back, tagged with Manny Fernandez and put the world belts on him. I mean, the territory was down. They were really trying to bring it up. There was no time to school me. So I just kind of sat around. Knowing this, I begged Dusty to send me to Kansas City where I could be in the ring every night.
Right.
For $50 a night. It was a big pay cut, but not really because you only work once a week as opposed to 6 nights a week.
Then what did you learn in Kansas City? I mean, I was talking to Jake about getting over. I mean, what was your approach? Because now, as Razor, once you assume that gimmick, and we're going to get to that in a minute, you know how to get over. Back then, what was your mantra? What was your MO?
Well, I bounced around to some different territories. I crossed paths with Shawn Michaels in Kansas City, and I remember making a road trip to him one time, Kansas City to Des Moines. And Shawn, when he was doing jobs in Dallas, used to call the matches to the guys going over.
Really?
He was that good.
What were your impressions of a young Shawn Michaels?
Well, at that time, I was booked as a heel, so I thought finally some little pretty boy like that will toss around. I can toss around, and he doesn't have a problem with it.
Right.
You know, a lot of those guys, they don't want to be bumped or anything, and not by me. So I don't know. We hit it off. I think we had a lot in common then. We've been friends since then.
What about going back to your conversation with JJ and him kind of taking you under his wing and showing you how to work holds?
Right.
You've always been a very sarcastic guy. Your sarcasm is one of your strong points with relationship, how funny you are. Did you have that same sarcasm back in the old days, and how was it taken? Because sometimes if a guy doesn't know you're this big, imposing, good-looking guy, kind of disrespectful. Did people get that out of you? Did you rub people the wrong way?
Probably. I mean, I think I just kind of bumbled through so many opportunities just being a big redneck.
Right.
And not having any people skills or not realizing that people don't know I'm joking.
When did you start putting the people skills together and getting, hey, man, this is work and you got to get along with people? Okay, maybe not. Never.
Right now. I'm working on it now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just realized that for me, dealing with people, everybody is who they are. And you have to accept the good qualities and the bad qualities.
Right.
You know, like you can't just isolate qualities, and I can't isolate them in myself.
Yeah.
So I just have to give myself a break and give the same break to other people.
Right.
You know, I mean, I always looked at it like there's some guys that I'm going to travel with and hang with and go to the gym with. They're my buds, my boys. There's other guys like, then I'm wrestling this other guy every night. So that's a whole different relationship. Like we ain't going to have dinner together. We're not going to go out and drink together, but you know, as long as you're clicking in the ring and you see that guy, you see him in the locker room, it's like, hey, what's up, man? There's that certain bond you have with guys, you know. So I always looked at it like that. Like, you know, I always say the same thing. It ain't show friends, it's show business.
Right.
You know, I'm just as soon get along with everybody, but all that ultimately matters, all I really concerned myself with was what the guy I wrestled thought, what the guy who pays me thinks, and what the people who bought tickets think.